Okay, wonderful. Hello, everybody. Tarryn Reeves, the CEO and founder of Four Eagles Publishing and the Publishing House Concierge. And today I'm being joined by the beautiful Sarah Greener, who is living in New Zealand, and she is one of the authors inside of Phoenix Rising, a multi-author book project currently underway with Four Eagles Publishing. Welcome, Sarah.
Hi, nice to see you.
Nice to see you. Now, Sarah is a wife, a mother, a CrossFit newbie, a vitamin C, as in the ocean addict, author and founder of the Human-Centered Business. After years of slogging it out, working too many hours in her business, Sarah got her life back. Getting aligned with her vision, what matters most, and her flow has led her to a life and business that she loves. Sarah works with business owners to give them back a day a week in 40 days so they can spend time with those they love, doing what matters most to them. Her specialty is reducing stress and overwhelm without self-sacrificing while getting you back in control of your business. She and her husband run a successful tourism business, and she has a global client base in her coaching business. Welcome, Sarah. That sounds so amazing. Getting our life back. Time is just our most important asset that we can never get back and repeat as far as we know. So what a wonderful gift. Yeah, so far.
Right?
Yeah, that's right. So tell me more about you've got the two businesses, obviously. You've got the cruising business that you do in the beautiful Bay of Sounds, is it?
Bay of Islands. So up
Bay
in
of Islands in New Zealand. And then you've got your business coaching business where you teach people how to streamline, I'm assuming, so that they can get their time back. Tell me more.
Yeah, so yes, there's an element of that. I think the biggest challenge is that in small business, big business now, right? So there's 1,000 million people out there telling all of us small business owners all the things we should be doing. And if you wrote them down, it would go around the world like, I don't know how many times, a lot of times. And so as business owners, there's kind of this massive long list of what we need to be doing in our business. And then that just assumes that we just run a business. Like, I don't know about you, but you know, most of us that I've come across have other hats that we wear, whether we've got an intimate partner, we've got children. More often than not, I'm working with people that have got a role in the community as well. So they're either working with sports groups or their local church, or in New Zealand, their local marae, and they're adding value in other ways. And they've just kind of got them into a place where they've said yes to everyone and they're trying to meet everyone's expectations, and they kind of lost themselves. And along that journey means that they're just working all the time for someone else in some role, and there's nothing left for them. And funnily enough, they're exhausted, they're stressed, and they're overwhelmed. And so this was my journey, and I just want not for that to be the case with small business owners, because I don't think it's sustainable, and I think it's one of the reasons we're not as productive as we could be.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think so many people get so overwhelmed, like you said, being told that we have to be everywhere and do everything in order for our business to be successful and to make money. And it's just like this pressure to go, well, I branched out of the norm to start my own business and I have to make it work. Otherwise, I've got to go back to corporate and I've got to do all this stuff. And you've got your partner potentially going, well, where's the money? And your parents going, what the hell are you doing? And not to mention your own, self-criticism, your own inner critic who's probably giving you a hell of a hard time as well. So then you can end up running faster and faster and faster. And then the business that you started to give you freedom in whatever capacity you desired has suddenly eaten up every part of your life and who you were.
Totally. It becomes this monster that all of a sudden you're like, when I get this done, then we'll have that freedom I've talked about. When I get this done, and that kind of, one day, someday in the future, it just never shows up because there's always something else to do. Like, it's that waiting for your ducks to line up and then it never showing up. So that was really important for me to understand. And once I got my head around it, I thought it was just a me story. And then when you start talking to people, you go, oh, we're all doing it. Or a good chunk of us are doing it, especially women, there's so many expectations. That whole place from where we used to be stay at home and nurture and look after the children, and past generations fought for us not to just have that role, to have other roles. And I think we've kind of taken it that they fought for us to have this role, so we have to do the new roles of being a provider and running our businesses as well as still doing all the traditional roles as well. And that's just not where I see it being at, for me anyway. I don't believe that it's actually physically possible to do everything that our mums and grandmothers were doing and run a business, and you can't fulfill all of those requirements to everyone all at the same time. You'll be exhausted.
Exactly. And that results in, unhappiness and stress and overwhelm and all those things. And then you become a person or start behaving like a person that you don't like anyway. And then you've got all the mum guilt and the partner guilt and all of the above, right?
There's no way to escape it. Yeah, there's no way to escape it. Like if you're at home, you're guilty because you're not at work. If you're at work, you're guilty because you're not at home. That certainly doesn't sound like freedom. Well, certainly the place that I got to, it wasn't freedom at all.
Yeah. Yep. I'm hearing you, and I've been there too, and I'm sure many people listening have as well. So tell me a little bit more then about how you coach your clients to get back a day a week within 40 days.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so there's a number of different things that we do, and we really start off with really uncovering all those stories. Like we've grown up with lots of stories around time. You'll hear them. They're in the cliches, right? You want something done, give it to a busy person. If you if you work hard, you'll be successful, which somehow we've translated that into if I work lots of hours, I'll be successful. Like we've just got these cliches that have been around for a lot of years, and we use them to reinforce that the behavior that we're exhibiting is good. It's going to make us successful. We tell people that we're busy. So in business, when you ask people, how are you? They're like, busy. Like it's this massive badge of honor. Like, hey, things are really good. I've got lots of clients, which for me now, when I say, how are you? And their first response is busy, it's a big red flag that they're under pressure. They've not got their priorities sorted. So unpacking those stories and getting really clear on these are just stories that we've made up or that society's made up for us and we've bought into, and unpacking that. Because once we recognize that we can actually make up any set of rules that we want for our lives and start remembering that we can choose, that really helps. Because a lot of the times we've got to that place where we say, I have to, or I don't have a choice. And so that's the really very first place we start. Once we kind of work that out, then it's about actually what does success look like for you. So 25-year-old Sarah, living on a beach in Thailand with her then boyfriend, running a kayaking business, had a different version of success versus nearly 40-year-old Sarah with a mortgage, a husband and a daughter. So getting really clear on what that looks like for you, not what Facebook or Instagram should say. Like the whole be a 7-figure business, be an 8-figure business, make your money online, not working very hard crap, as far as I'm concerned, is really warping what success looks like, because success is a really personal thing. So what matters most to you, and what do you want each of those areas that matter most to you to look like 10 years from now? Because you've got to start working on that now. And then nothing worse than running furiously in the wrong direction. And that's what it's really easy to do when you're just trying to get through day by day by day. You look up and go, hold on, my vision's over there. Why am I going in that direction? And then think, so clarity. So unpack those stories, get some real clarity around actually what do you want, and then start making some steps towards that. Because when you're really aligned with that vision of what you want for your life, and you can see that life's getting better and better each day, you're actually going to do the right things without procrastinating, without feeling overwhelmed, without feeling stressed. So that's where I start.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. And it is so easy to be, I suppose, peer pressured in a way into this is what success is, instead of going, you know what, I actually only want to work 2 days, or I only want to work 3 days. I don't need 7 figures to have what I need. I want to live off the grid, or I want to do, X, Y, and Z, whatever it is for that person. And then there's the other side of the thing. Like you've got someone like me who's like, yeah, I want to earn 7 figures, but I also only want to work 3 days a week. Right. And either way, it doesn't matter what your vision of or version of success looks like. It is absolutely possible, but you need to know what that is for you and why. Why is it that way?
Yeah, and that's what's really important. And I guess there's no judgment on whether you want to have a 7-figure or 8-figure business, or you want to have a $200,000 business that gives you a really great lifestyle that you earn in 2 days a week, right? Like, there's no judgment on whether that's right or wrong, but I think it's really important that you're clear on what you want, just not what's blowing across Instagram feed or in Facebook that tells you what it should be. Because if I tried to be everything I should be still, I wouldn't have got to this place where I'm in a life that I absolutely love and businesses that I love, with a really strong marriage and a great relationship with my daughter. I just wouldn't have had any of those things probably had I carried on the way I'd going. And that was just this total lack of focus on what mattered to me. So it's working that out first, and everyone's going to be different. Like I say, right now I have a 9-year-old. In 10 years time, probably even less than that, because she's a girl, she's probably not going to want to hang out with me too much. So my life will be different and I'll have different goals and different priorities. But right now it's a priority to me to have time with her.
Yeah, I love that. And I think as mums, we can put a lot of pressure on ourselves to be modeling that they can do anything that they want to do, but then sometimes that can come at the sacrifice of spending time with them. And then it's like, well, hang on, what's the real gift here?
Yeah, and that's a real interesting one. So I'm the eldest of 4 girls, so I was really lucky to grow up grew up on a big farm, grew up on 2,500 acres. And beautiful. I remember as a child always hearing my dad being asked, "Don't you wish you had boys?" Because I was the eldest of 4 daughters. Mum and dad had 4 under. And dad always used to say, "My girls can do anything your boys can do, and they can probably do it smarter," because we had to think about it before we could do it. And like any time there was an event where us girls had to do something that were traditional men's jobs, dad'd be like, "I know you can do it, and you can do it smarter than them, and we'll do it faster, and we'll do it better," and all those things, which was awesome. We were totally empowered as young girls and as into young women. I think the big thing that generation forgot to tell us, because they didn't know what we were going to show up like, was they said we could do anything. What they forgot to add to that was you can't do everything. So you're still going to have to make choices. And that's a real, like, I want to say to my daughter, you can be anything, you can do anything you want, but you can't do everything all at once, because that's the bit that gets you unstuck.
Yeah, I love how you phrase that, because that is basically what it boils down to, 100%. How interesting. Yeah, I'm just reflecting on my own journey, as well, because I like to do everything. Like, I am sometimes manic. And because I'm creative as well, I'm like, oh, I've got this idea, and now I'm just going to do it. And then I look up and I'm like, hang on, I've been at this for 7 hours and I haven't even stood up for a break, And then I wonder why I'm tired. But it's because nobody ever said to you, it's okay not to do everything, or take your time to do everything.
Yeah, it's kind of that whole, we get told, opportunity only knocks once, and like there's a whole lot of this stuff that I'm like, don't do it now, and I don't grab it with both hands, it'll go away. I don't believe that anymore. I don't believe that opportunity only knocks once. If it's the right time and it's meant to be the right thing, it will come along again, or you can go and create for it to happen again, rather than expecting that it will just be along once, and if you don't grab it, you'll miss it. I certainly want to live a life of no regrets, but like you say, if you can't slow down and enjoy the journey and enjoy the process of the things you've chosen to do, like I deliberately chose to be a mum, and I deliberately chose to be a businesswoman, I can't enjoy that process, then why am I doing it?
Exactly, 100%. I love it. Now, you have written a chapter inside of Phoenix Rising, which is due to come out in September. Do you want to talk a bit about that process and how it was for you?
Yeah, sure. So I think what was really interesting is I don't necessarily pride myself as being a writer, I guess would be the big thing I would say about that. Clearly I love to talk, but I'm not, I can put pen to paper. My English teacher from high school, which is a long time ago now, would say, oh no, she could write, but it's a different world now. The speed at which you have to create content and that sort of stuff has moved so quickly, and so I sort of was like, oh god, there's a lot of words, and how am I going to get that done? And I'm all about getting my time back, so anything that's going to take a lot of time, I'm like, nah. Not interested. So having you kind of walk through the process and go, hey, here's some ways that you can make this fast and simple and easy for you. You've probably been telling this story for a little while where's the resource that you've already got that story written down, or you've got it in another form, and how can you use that to bring it forward. So really interesting to sort of think about the different ways, because I do that with people in business. So now to think about how can I get my thoughts down really, really quickly into a way that we can then use as a chapter, and then kind of walking through that process of, you know, that it sounds very, really basic, but beginning, middle and end, like how do we structure the story is not something I'd been through before. I just blah how I and so to have some support along the way to kind of go, this is, you know, best practice in terms of the way that we're going to structure these chapters was super helpful. And, you know, there was clear time frames, and we walked away through it all the time. I felt like I had plenty of space and time to do it, so it's been really good. It's been enjoyable, super interesting bunch of ladies that have all come from totally different places and are doing different things, so that's been really good too, you know, like to make these connections that aren't people that I would normally necessarily rub up against in my day-to-day life.
Yeah, amazing. And what are you hoping to achieve as a result of being a part of this project, whether that's in business or personal or both?
Yeah, so I think always there's, it doesn't matter how often I do this, the whole putting yourself out there, whether it be on camera or writing your thoughts down and putting it out there to be sold to other people so they can read it and it'll be around for as a legacy for a long time. I find it challenging. I think we do, because as much work as I do on myself about what other people think of me doesn't matter, it still matters. So
100%, it's human nature.
Yeah, absolutely. So getting out of that comfort zone and doing something that's a bit of growth for me. In terms of business, obviously it's reaching other people. Like the reason I got into doing what I do is so that people don't end up in the place I ended up in, because it's not fun. It's not healthy for your relationships. It's not healthy for your children. It's certainly not healthy for your business. And I want to build and help people build thriving, sustainable businesses, because the impact, the ripple effect of that for me is the legacy I can leave behind. So if you're thriving as a business owner and you're healthy and you're sustainable and you're doing everything that's aligned for you, you've got the capacity to give back and make a bigger impact yourself. And so that ripple effect for me is really important. So it helps me to reach more people from that point of view. So if I can reach people that need some support in that space and help them, that's where it's going to go from there.
Yeah, amazing. It can definitely do that for you. So we are in the editing stages at the moment of Phoenix Rising. Like I said, it comes out in September, but we have another multi-author book project that's currently open for applications. It is called Corporate Dropouts: From Employee to Entrepreneur. Meet the entrepreneurs who took the leap and soared. So if you are listening and you kind of want to get in on this kind of a project, or you think that you might be even a little bit curious about the whole multi-author book project and becoming a best-selling author and what that can do for you, then please reach out and we can have a chat about what that could potentially look like for you. But Sarah, thank you so much for joining me today. It's been an absolute pleasure working with you in this project, and we've still got more to go. And thank you so much for all that you do.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Have a great day.